We're here with Tony Wagner, author of The Global Achievement Gap and Creating Innovators. Tony, it's great to have you with us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be with you, Greg.
So Tony, let's rewind back just a few years to ask you what made you want to become an educator in the first place?
Greg, I hated school. I just hated school. I hated high school. College didn't work for me. I read Paul Goodman's book, Growing Up Absurd, and I suddenly realized schools did really not have to be the way they were. That in fact there was a different way to think about schooling and education. And so I decided there and then I wanted to be a teacher and try to figure out a better way.
Talk to us about the journey from being an educator to being someone who is acknowledged around the world as a leading expert in the field.
You know, I began working with at-risk students in a public alternative high school. I had to figure out how to engage with these kids. And what I really attended to was motivation, which is something people rarely talk about in education. I was worried increasingly about what I saw as the mismatch between what kids were learning in school and what the real world was going to demand of them out of school.
So as you look at the American educational system right now and our approach to educating young people, how do you define the problem?
We transitioned from a one-room schoolhouse to factory model assembly line schools serving the needs of an industrial economy a century ago. Those are the schools we still have today. So my view is that schools are not failing and certainly don't need reforming. The system is obsolete and needs reinventing or reimagining, and that's everyone's responsibility and no one's fault.
How then do we reinvent the educational system in order to be better, more responsive?
In the past, school systems have been designed for the outcome of merely acquiring more content knowledge and maybe a few skills along the way.
Right.
I think we have to flip it. We have to say the outcome is core competencies, proficiencies. Think about it as the merit badge approach to learning. You should be able to earn and have to earn a series of merit badges that show proficiency while engaging deeply in content knowledge. I'm not saying that's unimportant, but content should no longer be king. Competencies should be.
Probably a lot of people also listen to you through the lens of being a parent, if they are one. And how can I develop, support, nurture, my child?
Yeah.
And so, what do you say to the parent who has that question for you?
Yeah. Well, when I wrote The Global Achievement Gap, when I interviewed these young innovators in their 20s from both privilege and poverty, and then interviewed their parents, I found out that their parents had explicitly encouraged three things: play, passion, and purpose. And as these kids played and grew older, the parents were very intentional about trying to give them a buffet of options and opportunities, not to build a resume, but to discover a passion.
How do you really expedite the kind of change that you're talking about?
I think first and foremost, we need a real sense of urgency from our leadership. We're graduating from college large numbers of kids who have no skills and who are very seriously unemployed or underemployed. That's a crisis. Yeah. They're not going to be able to pay back their college debt, which is averaging about $30,000 a kid. We talk about government debt, the bigger debt to worry about is college debt.
A lot of people believe in leaning into apprenticeships and vocational school and actually getting people on a path towards highly employable, practical skills much earlier. How do you react to those people?
Finland is the highest performing education system in the world. And kids in 10th grade in Finland choose between an academic track and a career vocational technical track that's been developed in very close collaboration with businesses, which includes internships and mentorships and on-site working and so on. 45% of the kids choose the CTE track. And I was talking to a group of 12th graders in a suburb of Denver recently, raised their hands. They all said they were going to go to college. But I said, how many of you would have chosen that CTE track had it been in this high school? Half the hands went up, Greg, because they realize college may no longer be the return on investment that it has historically been.
You're clearly so passionate about this issue and this mission. Where do you think that passion comes from?
I still have memories of all the ways in which I was frustrated as a student. And at the same time, I have memories of individual teachers, rarely in the schools, but individuals who had mentored me or helped me in some significant way. And so I guess I see how lucky I've been, to have found a few people, to have found a few opportunities. And I worry about so many other kids who don't have that luck or that possibility. I mean, the inequities are horrendous today. They go back, but they're going to get worse, not better, until we solve this problem.